Hello, students. Welcome back to English class. We'll continue with Act 4, Scene 1 of the play Merchant of Venice. Before we continue, let's have a quick recap. Act 4, Scene 1, it is a trial scene, and the scene opens in the Venetian court of law. When the scene begins, we find Duke very sympathetic to Antonio. And in turn, we find Antonio thanking Duke for his efforts to save him from the forfeit contained in the bond. But at the same time, Antonio was sure that all the efforts of Duke is going to be vain, as the opponent is cruel Shylock. So we find Antonio resigning to his fate. Later, Shylock is called into the court by the Duke. The Duke asks him to reconsider his inhuman demand. But Shylock is determined to have the penalty of a pound of flesh rather than any amount of money. Shylock has no rational justification to support his demand other than saying, "It's my humor." He further says very boldly to the Duke that it is his deep rooted hatred and definite dislike that makes him carry on with the bond rather than accepting any amount of money from Antonio. So let's continue with the scene. So in the previous part, we have found Shylock telling to Duke and everyone present there that it is his deep-rooted hatred and definite dislike that makes him take such an action against Antonio. So hearing this, Bassanio is telling, "This is no answer, thou unfeeling man, to excuse the current of thy cruelty. This is no answer, meaning this is not a satisfactory answer. Thou unfeeling man, meaning thou heartless man, to excuse the current of thy cruelty. Or it cannot be a good excuse for the cruelty that you are going to do against Antonio. No one is going to accept your simple and reasonable statement saying that it is based on my whims and fancies. I'll proceed with this punishment." So Shylock, "I'm not bound to please thee with my answer." So hearing this, Shylock is chilling. Bassanio, what did Bassanio say? "This is not a good answer. This is not a satisfactory answer for the cruelty which you are going to do against Antonio." So to that, Shylock is retorting, saying that I'm not bound to please thee with my answer. So Shylock is telling, even I don't want to satisfy you. I'm not bound. I'm not interested, or I'm not really obliged to satisfy you with an answer. So here starts the verbal quarrel between Shylock and Bassanio. So our Bassanio is asking the next question. Do all men kill the things they do not love? So the question asked by Bassanio is, do all the men kill those things which they dislike or which they hate? What Antonio said before is, it is that lodged hatred or definite dislike that I have for Antonio that makes me collect 1 pound of Antonio's flesh. Right? So Bassanio is asking, does it mean that all men kill all those items which they hate? Is it compulsory that a person should kill an item if he hates it? So we find Shylock asking in retort, hates any man the thing he would not kill? Meaning, we can write the meaning, is there any man who does not kill something that he truly hates? Is there any man who does not kill something that he truly hates? So to that, Bassanio is telling, every offense is not hated first. Meaning, every fault is not hated from the very beginning. Every fault is not hated from the very beginning. That is what it means is that every fault of a person need not turn out to be at once as a cause for hatred. Because a person has done fault doesn't mean that we should start hating the person at that moment itself. So Shylock is telling, what would thou have a serpent sting thee twice? So Shylock is asking, just tell me one thing. What? Would thou have a serpent? Will you allow a snake to sting thee twice, to bite you the second time also? First you got a sting from the snake, and will you leave that snake to sting you for the second time? So hearing this, Antonio is telling, I pray you, think you question with a Jew. You may as well go stand upon the beach and bid the main flood bait its usual height. You may as well use question with the wolf, why he hath made the ewe bleed for the So, hearing the verbal quarrel going on between Shylock and Bassanio, we find Antonio interrupting in between. And Antonio is chilling. I pray you, meaning I request you. Think you question with a Jew. Are you planning to? Do you think that you can argue, you can win arguing with this Jew? Do you think that you will win arguing with this Jew? You may as well go stand upon the beach and bid the main flood bait its usual height. That is, rather than arguing with this Jew, the best option or better option is you may go as well go stand upon the beach. You can go and stand near the seashore and bid the main flood and ask the ocean tide. And ask the ocean tide bait its usual height, not to rise to such a high height or to reduce its height. That is, rather than arguing with this heartless Jew, it is better you go and argue with the ocean tide. At least ocean tide will hear you. And what should you go and tell the ocean tide? To reduce the height of its tide. Is it possible? It is something impossible, right? So what Antonia means is that it is arguing with the Jew and winning by arguing with Shylock is something more impossible than arguing with the inanimate objects of the nature. Even the ocean tide might sometimes hear you, but not the Jew. That is what he means here. You may as well use question with the wolf, why he hath made the ewe bleed for the lamb. Then second option which he is giving is going and questioning the wolf, which has killed the small lamb. You may as well use question with the wolf. You can even go and question with the wolf. What should Bassanio go and question? Why he has made the ewe bleed for the lamb. The ewe, that is mother sheep, cry for the lost lamb. That is, the wolf had taken the lamb away from the mother. And mother sheep is crying now. So now Antonio is telling Bassanio, rather than arguing with this Jew, you better go and quarrel with the wolf. At least the wolf will hear you. You can go and ask the wolf why it has taken the small lamb from its mother. You may as well forbid the mountain pines to wag their high tops and to make no noise. And also, rather than arguing with this Jew, you better go and ask the mountain pines. You can ask the mountain pines. You can forbid the mountain pines. You can tell the mountain pines not to wag their high tops and to make no noise. That is, to stop making noise, not to make any more noise by wagging their high tops. All these things might be possible, but not winning by arguing with this Jew. So when do these pine trees wag their high tops and make noise? It is when they are threatened with a gust of heaven. When they are threatened means when they are blown with a gust of heaven, that is by the strong winds above. You may as well do anything most hard. So finally Antonio is telling to Bassanio, Bassanio, you can go and do such things which is really difficult, as seek to soften that than which is what's harder. So Antonio is telling to Bassanio, you might do all those difficult things in the world rather than attempt a thing which is still harder, as seek to soften that than which is what's harder. That is, rather than trying to soften an item, a thing which is still harder than that. So which is that thing which is harder than any other thing in this world? His Jewish heart. It is the heart of Shylock. Therefore, I beseech you, meaning I request you, make no more offers. So you need not go and bargain with him. You need not put forth any more offers before him. Use no further means, but with all brief and plain conveniency, let me have the judgment and do his will. So finally he's telling, therefore, I request you, make no more offers. You need not go and request him, or you need not go forward requesting him that I'll provide you this or that. Use no further means. You need not take any more steps. No further means no, do not take any more steps. But with all brief and plain conveniency, but with all brief and plain conveniency means with due speed and simplicity. That is convenient to you. Let me have the judgment, and you as well. Let me have the judgment, and let the Jew have as well. Let the judgment be taken as soon as possible, and let the Jew, that is Shylock, have as well. So, next dialogue is by Bassanio. Bassanio is telling to Shylock, for thy 3,000 decades, here is 6. So, Bassanio is telling, Shylock, Antonio is supposed to give you 3,000 decades, but now I'm willing to give you 6. Please take this and free Antonio. Shylock, if every ducat in 6,000 ducats were in 6 parts and every part a ducat, I would not draw them. I would have my bond. So Shylock is telling, if every ducat in 6,000 ducats were in 6 parts, meaning 6, if there is 6 times 6,000 ducats, if instead of the 6,000 ducats, if you provide me 6 times of 6,000 ducats, that is 36,000 ducats, and every part a ducat, and every part, if you are offering me 6 times of the 6,000 ducats, I would not draw them. Even then, I would not accept that. I would have my bond. I will give importance only for my bond, or I will carry on with my bond, that is carrying 1 pound of Antonio's flesh. I won't accept even 36,000 ducats from you instead of Antonio's flesh. So, hearing this, Duke, how shall I hope for mercy without rendering none? Meaning, how can you hope for mercy without rendering, without showing mercy to anyone? So Shylock, what judgment shall I dread doing no wrong? You have among you many a purchased slave, which like your asses and your dogs and mules, you use in abject and in slavish parts, because you bought them. That is, there is a common saying that only if you show mercy to others, God will be merciful to you, or others will be merciful to you. So that is why Duke is asking, how can you expect mercy from others without showing mercy to others? So Shylock is telling, what judgment shall I dread doing no wrong? What judgment, what punishment should I fear without doing any wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. So why should I fear judgment of God? You have among you many a purchased slave, which like your asses and your dogs and mules, you use in abject and in slavish parts. So he's citing example in order to prove that he didn't do any wrong. He's telling, you have among you also, you have got a number of slaves. You have among you many a purchased slave. That is, on those days, people had the habit of purchasing slaves and keeping them as their workers. And once you purchase slave, those slaves are yours. You can make them do any work. So how the masters treated the slaves are like, which like your asses and your dogs and mules. They were treated just like animals. You use in abject and in slavish parts. You use them in a very degrading, or you make them do all sorts of degrading and demeaning works without giving them any humanitarian value or any humanitarian concern. Once you purchase them, they are yours, and you treat them just like animals, like your dogs, asses, or your mules. And if anyone come and ask you, why are you treating these human beings so? They will say that because I bought them. That is the reply given by Master always. I bought them. I bought the slaves. So I have the right to use the slaves in any manner. Shall I say to you, let them be free. Marry them to your heirs. So he is telling, if I tell to you to make them free, that is, I'm coming in, suppose if I'm coming in telling to you, let them be free, please make them free, and marry them to your heirs, and allow them to marry your children or your family members. Why sweat they under burdens? And if someone is coming in asking you, why should you make these slaves work like this? Why should they sweat under great burdens on their shoulders? Let their beds be made as soft as yours, and let their palates be seasoned with such wines. And again, if I'm coming and telling you, please make their bed, please allow them to sleep comfortably on a bed like what you are sleeping. Let their beds be made as soft as yours. Let their bed be made as soft as yours. And let their palates means mouth, be seasoned, be given the freedom to taste with such wines. Wines means with the food that you are eating. Let them be provided with the same food as what like you are eating. You will answer, the slaves are ours. Suppose if I come and ask you to free one of your slave whom you are keeping as your slave, you will say, who are you to ask that? I have bought them, so they are mine. So I will use them in any manner. So do I answer you? So Shylock is telling, similarly I am answering you. The pound of flesh which I bought of him is really bought. The pound of Antonio's flesh, which I demand of him, which I am demanding from Antonio now, is dearly bought. It is bought by me. It is mine now. It is mine. I have bought it. It is mine, and I will have it. If you deny me, fie upon your law. So he's telling, it is mine now, because I have bought it. For 3,000 ducats. Condition was that if you cannot repay it within 3 months, then I will have the right to get 1 pound of Antonio's flesh. So now, since he didn't repay, it is mine. It is mine and I will have it. So I have the right to use it, just like you use the slaves for other menial works. If you deny me, and if you are going to deny me, fie upon your law, shame upon your law. What is this? For you, one rule. For me, another rule. Shame on your law. There is no force in the decree of Venice. There is no force, there is no one or no rule in the decree of Venice as per the rules of Venice. Or you can say there is no power or no legal authority in Venice can deny me this pound of flesh. There is no force, there is no legal authority in the decree of Venice. There is no power, no man in Venice has the right or has the power to prevent me from denying this pound of flesh. I stand for judgment. So finally he's telling, I'm waiting for the judgment. Answer, shall I have it? Just answer me. Shall I have it or not? Will I be getting the right which I am supposed to as per the rule of Venice? So see the example that he cites or how he connects the pound of flesh with the slaves. What he said is right. You keep slaves. You make them do all the menial work. And whenever if someone asks you to free them, you will say that no, I will not. Because these slaves are mine. Similarly now, as per the rules and as per the contract, the pound of Antonio's flesh is mine. So if you cannot free the slaves, if you have the right to say that the slaves are bought by me, so I have got the right to keep it. Similarly, I have the right to use Antonio's flesh because that pound of flesh is also bought by me. So he's telling you, just give me judgment. Don't waste your time. Just answer me whether I can have judgment soon or not. So we find Shylock crying for justice in the court of Venice, right? So hearing this, Duke is telling, upon my part, I may dismiss this court unless Bellario, a learned doctor whom I have sent for to determine this, come here today. So Duke is telling, upon my part, I may dismiss, that is, I may adjourn this court. That is, this case will not be decided unless and until a particular person come. What's the name of that person? It is Bellario. Bellario, he is a learned doctor whom I have sent for to determine this, come here today. And Dr. Bellario was requested by Duke to come and solve this case. So he is telling, till Dr. Bellario come and hear the case or speak more about or take this case, the court will be dismissed. Celario, my lord, here comes without a messenger with letters from Doctor New come from Padua. So Celario, by the time someone came to that place, so Celario is informing Duke, dear Duke, my lord, here stays without. Someone is waiting outside. Stays without means someone is waiting outside. A messenger with letter from doctor. And he says that he is a messenger who has come from doctor. New come from Padua and he is coming from Padua. Duke, bring us the letter, call the messenger. So Duke is telling, then bring the letter soon and do call the messenger. So finding Antonio in a very sad or melancholic mood, then Bassanio is telling to Antonio, good cheer, Antonio, what man, courage yet. Good Antonio, being courageous, show courage. The Jew shall have my flesh, blood, bones and all. Here thou shalt lose for me one drop of blood. So Bassanio is promising to Antonio, the Jew that Shylock will have to get my flesh, blood and my bones. Here means before, thou shalt lose, before you shall lose, for me, for my sake, one drop of blood. Before you will have to sacrifice or you will lose, before you will have to give 1 pound of flesh to Shylock, he will first of all have to take my blood, my flesh and my bones. So hearing this, Antonio is telling, I am a tainted wether of the flock, meters for death. The weakest kind of fruit drops earliest to the ground, and so let me. You cannot better be employed, Bassanio, than to live still and write mine epitaph. So, Antonio is telling, I am a tainted wether of the flock, meaning I am like a sick ship, tainted wether of the flock. I am like a sick ship of the herd, in the herd. Sick ship in the herd. Meters for death. So I am just like a sick ship in a group of sheaves which is waiting for its death. The sweetest kind of fruit drops earliest to the ground. The weakest kind of fruit. Or you can compare me with a weak fruit that is about to fall from the tree. That will fall earliest from the tree compared to other fruits. That is, I'm just like someone who's waiting for my death. And so better you allow me to die. You cannot better be employed, Bassanio. And according to Antonio is telling to Bassanio, the fitting task for you, you cannot better be employed. That is the fitting task. Employed here means the fitting task which I can give to you, Bassanio, now is than to live still. You live. Even after my death, you live and write my epitaph. And after my death, your job is to write the inscription on the tombstone. That is, once I die, once I'm buried, you better, and the best job that I can offer to you is, you better be alive to write inscription on my tombstone. There should be someone to write inscription on the tombstone. You might have seen on the Christian tombstones and so. He's telling to Bassanio that after my death, there should be someone to write inscription on my tombstone. So better you be there alive in order to do so. So dear students, we'll wind up our class here today. Remaining, we'll continue in the next class. Till we meet again, goodbye.